Okay, so we're going over PT 70 game 2, and we're going over the circle slash method, which is really easy. It's exactly as it sounds. We're circling and we're slashing variables. So as our little key, this is what I recommend doing every single time you do a circle slash game. Slash means that it's out, and I need to move my thing over. Circle means that it's in. Circle slash is only used in grouping games where there can be 2 groups. So anything more than 2 groups doesn't work. So this is usually for games like we're selecting some and not the other. We have 2 groups that we have to place our variables in. We have those are really the only things that I can think of, but basically that's what it is. So in this scenario, we are selecting from among 8 people, 4 people to do a research project. So that's kind of what our grouping games are for, or our circle slash can be used for. Again, anything more than 2 groups, this does not work. It gets very complicated and confusing, and this is the purpose for circle slash, is to make it easier on yourself. So just stick to 2 groups. But anyway, so we're going to go into the scenario, which is a corporate manager is selecting employees for a research team. The team will include at least 4 employees from among the following 8, and our variables are M, O, P, S, T, W, Y, and Z. And then the selection is constrained by the following conditions. Okay, so like I said, this one is a circle slash game because we're only selecting and we're not selecting some. So we have our 2 groups, they're either being selected or they're not. This one is a little unique or a little bit more difficult than some of the basic ones, is because we have to select at least 4 employees. So we could select all 8 technically, we could select 5, we could select 6, and so on, but we have to make sure that there's at least 4. When they're giving you a minimum or a maximum, my recommendation is writing off to the side what your minimum or your maximum, or sometimes they give you there has to be an exact amount that have to be selected. So I'm going to write off to the side that there have to be 4. 2, 3, 4. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we stop at 4. It just means that we have to have at least 4. So that's what these little dots are going to tell me, is I could select more than 4. But I have to have at least 4. So those spaces have to be filled. Okay, so we're going to go into our first rule. And like I said, we're going to circle the ones that are in, we're going to slash the ones that are out. So the first rule says, if Myers is on the team, neither O nor P can be. So this is what a typical rule is going to look like in a circle slash game or an in and out game. More likely than not, this is pretty much all the rules are going to be in this format. So it's kind of another indicator if you're still uncertain if your game is circle slash worthy or not, if it has these if then statements in them. And these are very important. And this is, so if Myers is on the team does not say that Myers has to be on the team. And a lot of people want to automatically go, okay, Myers is on the team, let's circle it. But we also have to think about if the rule doesn't apply. Because technically, in our diagram right here, M is not circled or slashed. It's not assigned. So we don't know if M is on the team or not. The rule says what happens if M is on the team, but at this point, we don't know if M is on the team. So what we have to do is we have to duplicate our world. So I'm going to make an exact copy. And because we only have 2 options, it's either being in or it's out, we're going to circle one and we're going to slash the other. And that's because we have the 2 options and the rule only applies if M is on the team. It doesn't say M has to be on the team. So M technically could not be on the team. So once we've duplicated our world, once we slashed one and circled the other, it doesn't really matter which one you circle, which one you slash, so long as you have one of each. We're going to look at the rule again. It says if Myers is on the team. Well, if Myers is on the team, we know what happens. And between our 2 worlds, that's happening in world number 1. Myers is on our team. We circled M. which means that we know that O and P cannot be on the team. So we can slash them. But if we look at world number 2, it says M is not on the team. This is very important when it comes to contrapositives. I hate contrapositives. I hate sufficient necessary conditions. They're important, but they're very confusing. And for games, especially these kinds of games, we don't really have to worry about that too much. So in world number 2, it's when M is off the team. Does the rule say what happens if M is not on the team? It doesn't. It just says what happens when M is on the team. So in that case, I don't know what happens. O and P could be on the team, O could be on the team, P could not be on the team, or they could both be off of the team. It doesn't matter. The gist of it is the rule only says what happens when M is on the team. M is not on our team, so we don't know what happens, so we just leave it. O and P are technically floaters. They could go in, they could go out. It's not going to disrupt the rule. So that is our first rule. So we can basically check that off of our list. We don't have to worry about that rule anymore because those are only 2 options according to this rule. So looking at the second rule, we're going to do the same thing. So the rule says if S is on the team, both P and T must also be on the team. Okay, new rule means that we have to go all the way back up to our first world. We're building upon what we've already created. So rather than creating a blank world and doing what we did with M up here, where we circle S, we slash S, we're going to do it within that world. So we're building upon what we've already done. So in our first scenario, we'll just look at our first scenario. We don't know where S is. Kind of similar to M, when we first looked at M, we didn't know where M was. So because we don't know where S is, and the rule is saying that if S is on the team, we're going to create our copy because S could be on the team or it could not be on the team. There's 2 options for S and we don't know where it's at. So we're going to create an exact copy of 1. And we're going to circle 1, we're going to slash 1 because those are the only 2 options that we have for S. And now we can look back at our rule. If S is on the team, then we know what happens, right? P and T must also be on the team. So we look at the diagrams. Which ones do we have where S is on the team? It's our third one right here. If we read through the rule, it says P and T must also be on the team, so we can circle T, but we already have P slashed. When you move on to a new rule, you cannot change what you've done. So we can't change P to coming back in. That's going to violate our first rule. We have P slash for a reason. So very easily, what happens to this world is it dies. It cannot abide by our second rule. And in order for the world to exist, it has to abide by all of our rules. So just this one slip up on P means that it's dead. Doesn't have a chance. But I want to go back up and talk about 1 where S is slashed. Very similar to M. Does the rule say what happens when S is slashed? It doesn't. It says what happens when S is on the team. And so it's not saying that S can't be neglected from the team. We could have S out. It's just we don't know what happens. So in this scenario, we can't do anything. We'll just leave it as is. P is fine to be off of the team. We don't have to slash P and T or something like that. We don't have to do the negation. We just have to go, the rule doesn't say what happens when S is out, so I can't do anything, which is nice. It's less work for us. So we've completed the first world. Now we got to go down to the second world because we still don't know where S is in the second world. A good key indicator for when to move on to a new rule is if your sufficient condition, the if, our trigger variable, if you know where that variable is in all of your worlds. That's kind of a good key indicator because I can't move on from 2 because we haven't implemented that second rule into world 2. So looking at world 2, don't know where S is. So that means we're going to have to create our copy like we did earlier. Exact copy of 2. and we're going to circle one, and we're going to slash one. And now we look back at our rule, and it says if S is on the team, both P and T must also be. Between those two worlds that I have, the one where S is on the team is in our second world, which means we know that P and T have to be on the team. So we're good there. In world number 4, we have S slash. So we kind of just talked about this, but the rule doesn't say what happens when S is gone. So we just leave it as is. P and T can join us, P and T can be out. It doesn't matter. It's not going to violate a rule because there's no rule that says that we can't have that. And that's our second rule. Last and final rule is if W is on the team, both M and Y must also be on the team. Okay, so whole new rule, which means we're going to go all the way back up to our first world. In our first world, we don't know where W is, which means we're going to have to create a copy. If you haven't noticed already, circle slash can be kind of repetitive, but that's what is so simple about it, and which is why it makes it so easy to do this method, is because it is so simple. Okay, so now we've made our copy. There's 2 options for W, right? It can either be in or it could be out. I'm going to circle one, I'm going to slash one. And now it says if W is on the team, M and Y must also be. Well, W is in our team on world number 1. It's circled. So that means we have to circle M and W, or sorry, M and Y. So I'm going to circle Y. We already have M circled. In our 5th world, W is slashed, which means we don't know what happens. Y can join us if it wants, Y can leave us. It doesn't matter. It's not going to violate the rule because there's no rule that says what happens when W is slashed. So we're good there. I'm going to go through world number 2, and I'm going to show you kind of a shortcut on world number 4 because it happens in both of these worlds, but I want you to see the shortcut and also the traditional way of doing it. So looking at world number 2, do we know where W is? Because knowing where W is going to trigger if M and Y must be in. We don't. So that means we're going to have to create our copy, which has M-O-P-S-T W-Y-N-C. And we're going to circle one and we're going to slash the other because those are the 2 options for W at this point. So the rule says if W is on the team, M and Y must also be on the team. W being on the team happens in my second world, which means I'd have to circle Y and M, but M is already slashed. And again, we cannot change what we've already done. It is set in stone when you move on to a new rule. Think of it like that. I've also explained it like you're putting bricks on top of each other. I don't know. I'm thinking of like the 3 Little Pigs, the Disney stuff. I don't know. But like you can't move a first layer brick when you already have 5 layers on it. Think of it like that. We can't change stuff. There's stuff already on top of it. So in this scenario, this world just dies. Don't try to make a world work for you. If it doesn't work, there's a reason it doesn't work. It just means that it can't happen. And in our 6th world where we have W slashed, the rule doesn't say what happens when W is slashed. So M and Y do as they please. In this world, M is crossed out. That's fine. No rule that says what happens when W is out. Now looking at our 4th world, I'm going to kind of show you a little trick. So unless you've already figured this out from the 2nd world, M is slashed in this world. We know what happens to one of our necessary conditions, basically one of our variables on the other side of the sentence. So what we could do is think about it in a, I hate saying contrapositive because that's so confusing, but think about it this way. If W is on the team, we know that we have to have both M and Y. But if we don't already have M, we can't have W on the team, because in order for W to be on the team, M has to be with Y on the team. And if we don't have one, we can't have our sufficient condition in, basically. So in this scenario, because I already know that M is out, I know automatically W can't be in. If W is in, M has to be in, and M's out. So instead of making that second world, if you can see that in your mind already, don't feel like you have to make another world. You can automatically /W. If we were to make another world, it would happen the same as, I think it was that third world. No, the second world. It would be the same thing. You would just have to cross out the world where you had circled W. So either way is perfectly fine. If you can see and jump ahead a few steps, that's totally fine. Okay, and that was the last rule, which is really nice for us because that means that we don't have to do much else. The only other thing that we have to think about in this game is our minimum of 4 people. So what we have to do is we have to go through each world and make sure that we have at least 4 people that we can choose from. So in our first world, we have chosen M, W, and Y, and we don't have our 4th person yet. But we have T and Z who have not been crossed out or circled yet, which means they become floaters. No matter where they go, well, one of them has to come in. But if they both come in, that's totally fine. We can have 5 people. So I'm going to say T and Z here, but I'm also going to write T and Z over here and tell myself that it's a floater. So if I choose Z in here, T's a floater. It can be in or out. If I choose T in here, Z's a floater. It can be in or out. And that's our first world. Yay. Okay. We don't have to do anything to 2 or 3. They're dead. So looking at world number 4, I have O, P, T, Y, and Z. That's 5 variables, and we don't know any of them that are chosen. These are the ones where we have all of our if statements not negated, but excluded. So technically they're all floaters. We can't say that anyone is in and anyone is out. So I'm just going to write O, P, T, Y, and Z and circle them because they can all go in. They can all, well, 4 of them have to go in, but it's a mixture. We don't know. Looking at world number 5, we know that we have to have M, and we have T, Y, and Z left over, which is perfect because we have 3 spots left over. So that tells us we have to choose these individuals in order for the world to exist. And we're going to do the same thing in 6. We know that we have to have P, S, and T, and we have to have one more, and that can be chosen between O, Y, and Z. So similar to my world up here, I'm just going to say one of them has to be chosen, but they could also be floaters. So, and that is the game. These are the only worlds that exist in this game. And so we're going to go into how to utilize it for the questions because they're going to become stupid easy, which is really great. Oh boy. Okay. Our first question is a list question. For list questions, I always recommend, no matter what kind of game, to go through it by your rules. Ooh, Trippy, come on. I just want to move you. Move that out of the way so we can look at our rules. So this is the quickest way to do it. It gets very tedious to go from world to question type, or world to answer choice in this question type. It's much easier to go to rule to answer choice words. So which one of the following is I should probably say, pause this if you want to try the questions on your own. I'm going to go through these, not quickly, but without pausing. So pause this and go through your questions if you want to do it by yourself, and then we'll go into the questions. So, okay, welcome back. We're going to go through 8, which is a list question. So again, go through your rules, eliminate the ones that are violating your rules, and that's an easy way to get your answer choice. So which one of the following is a possible selection of employees for the team? Well, our first rule says if Myers is on the team. I'm going to see where I have that happening. I only have Myers on the team, and A says that O and P cannot be on the team, and I have P, which means we can eliminate that one. If S is on the team, that happens in C and D. P and T must also be on the team. So S is on the team here. I don't have T, which means I have to eliminate that one. And same for D. I don't have P on the team, so I have to eliminate that one. If W is on the team, that's happening in E. M and Y must both be on the team. I don't have M there, which leads me to B as my answer choice. Oh boy. And scooch it over. We can actually find that on our diagram. So if you've diagrammed everything correctly, this is a good way to ensure that you have the correct answer choice, or vice versa, ensure you have at least one of the correct worlds. We can find that on our team, which is right here. Oh, come on. We can have O, P, T, and Z in our world right there. So we do have a correct diagram. Moving on. Number 9 says, which one of the following is a pair of employees who cannot be on the team together? So cannot questions, must be false, except questions, those always really confused me. So my trick to doing them in a non-confusing way is to think about it the opposite way. So what it's asking you for is to identify the one that cannot happen. So our correct answer choice is basically a negative. It's not possible, which means that our 4 wrong answer choices are possible. They could be true. So what I do for these is, well, if it can be true, then it cannot be true. That's a double negative. But basically, we eliminate the ones that can be true, and that's then going to show us the one that cannot be true. So can it be true that M and T are on a team together? I have that in my first world right here. I can have M and I can have T on my team. So I can eliminate A. Can it be true? Actually, I'm just going to do, yeah. Okay, this would be easier for me. Can I have O and Y on my team? I can have O and Y on a team. I can have it here, and I can also have it down here, because again, I don't have to just have 4. I could have more than 4, so I could include O and W in my last world. But I just need to show one of them that it can happen, and that's enough. So the moment that I see one of them, I can cross it out. P and Z, can I have that on a team? I can have that on a team in 2 places. I can have that here, and I can have it here. So that means that it cannot be true. I hope that makes sense. S and W, can I have those on a team? Well, I don't. Just looking at it, I don't have S and W, but I also notice that this is the only world where I have W in, and I don't have S as a possibility up here. So I'm liking D so far. Looking at E, W, and Y, wasn't there a rule that said if W had to be in, then Y had to be in? Yeah. So that's an easy elimination because it's violating a rule. So we can delete E. So that leads me to my answer choice of D. So, okay, moving on. If Y is not on the team, then any of the following could be true except questions. So this is an if question, an if except question. Basically, the if question is giving us a restriction. Think of it as a new rule, but not really a new rule for this question. So in this question, in order to answer it, we can only use the diagrams where Y is not on the team. So we have to identify where Y is not on our team. We can have that happen down here. We can exclude Y from our possibility. And we can have that happen here and exclude Y from our possibility, which is going to lead us to O, P, T, and Z being our selected variables in that world. Now, in this question, because it's just pertaining to this question, these are the only two diagrams that we can use. These two diagrams basically are non-existent to us. They're still valid worlds, but just not in this question. So it says any of the following could be on the team except. So same thing with our cannot be true. I can eliminate the ones that could be true, and the one that cannot be true is my exception. So hopefully that made sense. Can I have Z on my team? I can have Z on my team in both worlds. I can have it, actually I have to have it here, but I could have it down here. So I can cross that out because we're looking for our exception. Can I have T on my team? I actually have to have T on both of my teams. That's a must. So again, looking for my exception, which means that's wrong. Can I have P on my team? Again, both worlds, I have to have P, so wrong because I'm looking for my exception. Can I have O on my team? I have to have O in this world, and I could have O in this world, but I just need to prove it once that it can happen, so wrong. Can I have M on my team? Both of those teams do not have M, do not have any possibility of having M, so this is my exception. Hence why it is my correct answer choice. Okay, moving on to the next one. If P is not on the team, which one of the following could be true? So it's giving us another if question, which means that we're going to have to go in and identify where P is not on the team, or where it could not be on the team. So I can have P excluded from the team in this world, which would lead me to having O, T, Y, and Z, and this world. These are the only three worlds I can use to answer this question. Cannot use this one because I have to have P on that team. Okay, we're looking for the one that cannot be true, or sorry, that could be true. Could it be true that M and O are excluded from the team? Can't happen. In all three of those worlds, I have to have at least M or O. So in the first one and the third one, I have to have M, and in the second one, I have to have O. In order for us to choose A, we have to be able to exclude M and O. So A is out. Can I have a world where M and T are excluded from the team? Again, all three of those worlds, I'm going to have at least one. So in my first world, I have to have M. In my second world, I have to have T. And in my third world, I have to have M and T. So bye-bye. Can't happen. Can it happen in one of my worlds that M and Z are not on the team? Yeah, neither M nor Z is on the team. Again, first world, I have to have M. And my last two worlds, I have to have Z. So there's no world in between those three where I can exclude them both. So wrong. Can I have a world where O and T are excluded from the team? Good. In this first world, I can exclude T and just pick Z and not have a floater. So this is a possible world, M, W, Y, and Z. So I'm liking that one so far. Oh, it's gonna, there we go. And can I have a world where O and Y are excluded from the team? Can't happen. Regardless of where O is, in all three of them, I have to have Y. So there's no way that I could say that I can't have Y on my team. So for this question, D is going to be my correct answer because I can make a world where I don't have O and T on the team. Okay. Next one. Which one of the following is a pair of employees, at least one of whom must be on the team? This is a question that comes up, I've noticed, pretty frequently in and out games or circle slash games. And a lot of people get tripped up on the wording of this. So take it bit by bit. We'll break down the question and we'll go into the answer choice. So this says, which one of the following is a pair of employees? So it's referring to the answer choice. So basically what you can do is you could, which one of the answer choices is at least one of whom must be on the team? So within my answer choice, I have to have at least one of those pairs on my team. Basically, for example, in order to pick A in all of my worlds, because it's not restricting them, in all of my worlds, I have to have either O or S, or both. I guess I could have both, but one of them has to be on my team. That's what my correct answer is going to be. So let's go into O and S. Do I have to have O and S, or sorry, O or S on my team? I don't have to. Just looking at that first world, I can exclude O and S from the group. So it's not a, how do I say this? It does not have to be true that I have to have O or S on my team, which is why A is a wrong answer choice. Looking at B, O, and W, in my first world, I have to have W, so we're good there. In my second world, though, I could exclude O and W. W is already excluded from this world, but I could exclude O, and I can just have P, T, Y, and Z. So automatically, I don't have to do any more work for that answer choice. In order for it to be a must be true, it has to apply to all of your worlds. So the moment that it is inconsistent in one of your worlds, it's automatically wrong. Which means we can cancel B, P, and S. Okay, first world. I don't even have P and S in here. So it does not have to be true that I have to have either P or S, just based off of my first world. And the fact that that's happening in my first world means I don't have to go through any of the other worlds within that, I don't have to go through any of the other worlds to verify P and S. The moment that it's wrong in one of those worlds, I can automatically cross it out. T and Y, well, in my first world, I have Y. Good there. In my second world, I am going to have either T or Y. Because if I try to create a world where I don't have either of them, O, P, and Z, I have one more spot left, which means T or Y is going to have to fill one of those spots. So good there. T and Y have to happen in that third world, and T has to happen in that last world. So in all of my worlds, I'm either going to have Y or T or both, technically. So I'm liking D so far. And E, Y, or Z. Well, in my first world, I have to have Y, so good there. Second world, if I have to exclude Y and Z, I'm short one variable, which, like we talked about with T and Y, is going to mean that one of them has to fill it up. So we're good there. Third world, Y and Z, have to have them both, so good there. In order to fully exclude E, it has to be false in my last world. If it is not false in my last world, I have messed up somewhere gravely. We'll see. In my last world, I can totally exclude Y and Z because we can take out Y and Z over here and just have O. We don't have to have a floater. So I could make a world where I don't have Y or Z, and this is what it would be. That one world is what makes E wrong. And that is why our answer choice is D. Okay, that was the last question. So please let me know if you have any questions on this. I do these classes every Saturday at the same time, 5 p.m. Central Time. We go over the circle slash method, so we do games specifically on circle slash when we talk about when we can use circle slash, how to build the worlds, and how to use the diagrams to answer the questions in a significantly less time, as you have seen. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Bye.